Hi, I'm Ed Hess. I'm a professor of business administration and Baton executive in residence at the Darden Graduate School of Business. And I teach a second-year elective course called Organic Growth, which focuses on the challenges of growing a public company organically. And in that course, one of the modules I teach is based on research which shows that high organic growth companies, one are the exception, not the rule, but those companies basically have built over a period of years an internal growth system. And by that I mean they have created an environment which enables and promotes, measures and rewards growth producing behaviors of line employees and managers, and those behaviors are modeled by leaders. Now this growth system basically is a seamless, linked, self-reinforcing system that starts with one strategy and moves through strategy, structure, culture, leadership philosophy, measurements, execution processes, and rewards. And the purpose of all this is to drive certain specific behaviors which basically result in growth, organic growth. Growth is the result. And one of the cases that I use to basically describe this is the Best Buy case. Best Buy is an interesting story. In 2004, it had its best year ever, and after having its best year ever, what did it do? It blew up its business model. It basically put in place a new business model which they called customer centricity. And this business model, in order to be put in and implemented, required Best Buy to change its culture, its structure, its leadership model, and its measurement system and its reward system. And Best Buy basically moved from a top-down, hierarchical, my way or the highway model to a decentralized structure where each store became a separate business unit and the store manager was in effect his or her own entrepreneur in charge of that store. Now, to do that, they not only had to change the structure, but they had to change the culture. They had to put in effect a reverse pyramid or an inverted pyramid. And basically, customers became kings and queens, employees became royalty, and managers and leaders became servants. And to be consistent, they adopted a servant leadership model. And what's interesting about this case is the measurements they put in place and how they got buy-in. And clearly they took power away from leaders and home office and regional and district leaders. And it was very interesting, and there's some great quotations in the case. And the company was very, very open with me, allowing me to come in. And you'll see that in order to get senior leadership buy-in to this new servant leadership model, they made 20% of those leaders' compensation based on walking the talk. And at the same time, the CEO did something very unusual in public company life. He took his stock options that year and for several years thereafter and told the board, I have enough, and put them in trust for the administrative personnel at corporate headquarters. Now, the case further goes on and gets into the culture they developed, which is what type of culture do you need to be a great growth company, to be constantly trying new things. And it's a culture that they called a culture of paranoia. And the case makes critical key points about how if you're going to be a growth company, by definition, all growth initiatives are not successful. Mistakes are going to be made. Growth is a learning process, and mistakes are not punished and are not looked upon as failures so long as you learn from them. Fascinating case. The case also is very interesting because to basically implement this new business model, Best Buy had to run two different operating systems at the same time. And to no one's surprise, they couldn't hit their quarterly earnings to the penny every time when you're running two new business models and rolling out a complete revamping of your company. Wall Street was not patient. The CEO asked for patience, and he wasn't given patience by Wall Street, which raises very interesting discussion questions in class as to whether it is better for a public company to go private when it's making major changes in order to have time and patience and not destroy value. The other interesting aspect of the case, while Best Buy was doing this 2005 and on, something else was happening at another major retailer, and that's the Home Depot case. The Home Depot case is the case about how two great entrepreneurs. Okay, Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank built a great company, Home Depot. And then unexpectedly, the board relieved Arthur Blank as his position of CEO and appointed Bob Nardelli, one of the three senior General Electric executives who was in line to succeed Jack Welch. And Nardelli was not chosen and immediately became CEO of Home Depot. And the Home Depot case is the story of how Bob Nardelli took what he learned at GE and instilled it into Home Depot. He changed the culture, he changed the structure, he changed the way they did business, and he made wholesale changes to the senior management team, and there were wholesale changes made at the employee level and management level. It's a fascinating case because when I use the cases together, and what you find is Bob Nardelli took the Marcus philosophy, culture, and structure and reversed it and put in a top-down, hierarchical, command and control culture. He did the exact opposite of what Best Buy did. Best Buy went from top-down, hierarchical, command and control to decentralized servant leadership, empowering employees, and each store being a separate business unit. Nardelli did the exact opposite with the exact opposite results. A great opportunity to show students and have conversations with students that maybe business models are not transferable from different industries. Because something works at GE does not necessarily mean it's going to work at Home Depot. Both of these cases have teaching notes with them where I share my experience in teaching it. And if any of you are interested in the cases and look at the cases and teaching notes and have questions, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you over the phone to help you in any way engage your students in wonderful conversations.